Hello and welcome to Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish, Season 2, Episode 8, Prey in a World Full of Hunters. Let's meet our heroes. And as always, I'm going in the order that you are on my screen, not necessarily the order that you are on Twitch, but surprise twist ending. I'm going to start at the bottom of my screen with D'Artagnan.
Hello, I'm D'Artagnan Mattaliano, and I play Xander, the human fighter.
Aki.
Hi everyone, I'm Aki and I play Kerrin and Karrin, your elf clerics.
Sam.
Sam de Leve, playing your swash buckle Aiden, the Asimar.
Swash, buckle, unbuckle on occasion, I've been told. Aiden might.
A gentleman wouldn't say.
But is Aiden a gentleman? But I digress. May.
Hi there, I'm Mayleigh Damage, and I am playing Helene, who is a crazy redhead who likes to throw a lot of fire around.
You were definitely missed, you and Aki last week. They needed you. They needed you a lot. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Alcuin Gersh.
Hey, I'm Alcuin, and I'm playing Rayonde, the Dragonborn Kensei monk.
All right. As always, thank you for joining us. And of course, thank you to Q Times. Even though you're watching us on twitch.tv/D&D, we are using Q Times infrastructure and production overlords to make this happen. Thank you, Q Times. As always, as independent content creators, we rely both on your generosity in the forms of bits and tips, but also in supporting our sponsors that make this show possible. D&D Beyond, the official digital tool set of Dungeons and Dragons, where you have almost every single thing you need to play the game. You can add character sheets, you can access your dice and spells, everything interactively, monsters, initiative. It will also be the first place that you can get the upcoming adventure, Rime of the Frost Maiden. So definitely visit D&D Beyond if you haven't yet to check it out. Also, there's an all-new players app that makes things very, very, very much easier to use now. I can admit, now that there's a new app, the last app was difficult at times, but this one, silky smooth and amazing. So D&D Beyond, check it out. Dogmite Games, that makes a ton of kick-ass gaming products, including my beloved DM screen that I would have set up right now, but you wouldn't be able to see me, but you still can get your own custom screen, one like mine or one that is your very own. They have over 30 individual ones to choose from, and you can also customize one that will fit your exact needs. So visit Dogmite Games to find out more. Level Up Dice, makers of fine gaming accoutrement. I did not have mine handy to show you fast enough. Boom. Yes, luxury gaming dice made out of all sorts of interesting materials and several things that you might not have even thought they could make dice out of. One of my favorites here is I have my Egyptian marble dice, which just make me feel like a sir to say that I have Egyptian marble dice. I have partnered with them. You can use my affiliate link, which is bit.ly/LUDB Dave Walters, to find out more. And last but certainly not least, Games for Love, which is a 501c3 kindness-oriented charity aimed at easing the suffering of children. I know you might have heard that with the current pandemic, children are less affected unless they already had a compromised immune system. So many of these kids have had to go into very heavy lockdown where they don't even get to visit their families in some cases. So we're raising money for things like video game consoles, controllers, and just ways to keep them connected and feeling integrated. Every $10 donated directly impacts the lives of 2 children. So please visit gamesforlove.org to find out more. And with that being said, now on with our story. When last we met, our heroes, still in the process of liberating the town of Crestholm, awoke to find out that although they had taken their adventure across the plains, their bodies had simply collapsed. And although to them they had gone to the depths of the Underdark into far-flung Arborea, to the locals they just collapsed and slept for a couple of days. So when our heroes came to, you found out that life was getting somewhat back to normal, with the bandits, if you would call them such a thing, Astenor, the elf, and Calliope, the Kalishtar, had taken back to gently guiding the town through its recovery process. You all found out the main people that were the cultists of the master were in their custody. An old man and a young woman who surprisingly no one ever asked their names. So that is what you just know them as the ones that were the top servants of the master. Soon after, you found outside there was a tree that had been covered in spider webs and spiders. And Helene's quick thinking, fireballing it, revealed inside a man-sized spider that was covered in eyes. Throughout the battle, it actually grabbed Helene and took her away and was talking to her, saying something along the lines of, "I will see you soon," before it was felled by one of Xander's arrows. Soon after that, Astenor led you all out to the edge of town and showed you where their fellow bandits had been buried, where they dug a very deep hole and burned the body of the beholder and the bone claw. Helene brought along the still unconscious body of Peter Parkour with the intent of waking him at a place where he probably wouldn't freak out and destroy the town. And Astenor led you all to a cave where he said the locals had essentially prayed for deliverance from the bandits, and something had answered them. It sent them help in the form of the beholder and the bone claw, and was taking something from them that wasn't quite clear if they were being fed on physically, if they were being fed on mentally or energetically, but some sort of relationship had formed with something terrible. Soon after, aka last episode, while you all were standing outside trying to decide what to do, you were beset upon by two old foes, Nebula and Depth, the star spawn from the far-flung planet of Abir, appeared. And they were surprised to see you. They didn't think you'd be here. They had picked up the same energetic signal that they chased Averin across the multiverse before and didn't know why they had run into you all. But in the spirit of waste not, want not, immediately set upon stopping time and kidnapping Helene and Karrin and Kerrin. Before they could continue whatever the rest of their plan was, you all were joined by the paladin Celise, who interrupted their mission and caused them to disappear in an instant, taking your friends along with them. Realizing you still had to face whatever was threatening the town before you could figure out what was going on with your friends, you all descended into the cave and found a giant spidery horror there that definitely had humans in cocoons to an unknown end. And one of the people that you discovered there was your old friend Freely, who said he had been making his way out of the Feywild and ended up in this cave, had attacked the spider and killed it, but it came back to life and ended up capturing him afterwards. With Selene and Freely's help, but sorely missing the assistance of Karrin and Kerrin, and especially Helene and her fireballs of doom, you all did battle with this creature and killed it, and it came back to life. And in the midst of the battle, Selene offered to try and break its curse because she understood it rambling in Celestial, saying that it had been cursed by the gods, and she, being a powerful paladin, offered to intervene on her behalf to the gods. The creature allowed her to offer her prayers, thinking it would really be a gag more than anything, and then she would promptly destroy all of you. But the great god Tyr replied. A warm light filled up the room, and in a flash, you all saw nothing. But we start now not in that cave, but in a far-flung elsewhere, as Karrin, Kerrin, and Helene, you all awake with a start. To you, you were standing outside the cave. You were with your friends. Nebula and Depth appeared, and you're here.
Where is here? What do we
Um,
see?
Do we see the rest of them?
You see nothing. Both of you roll a perception check.
$14.
14.
17.
There's something familiar about this room, Karrin and Kerrin. You can't quite put your finger on it. And Helene, it jumps to your mind when it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust that in the corner of the room, there is what looks like a very large well. Really, you notice where you feel powerfully compelled to jump down it, Helene, because you're like, why is it here if I'm not supposed to go down it? And it reminds you all, it reminds you all immediately of the yawning portal in Waterdeep, but it's different. In the yawning portal, you walk in and the bar is kind of to the right, the hole is kind of to the left. Here it is like it is all almost directly inverted. It's like the mirror image. And the architecture is different. The yawning portal it's warm. It's like a tavern. This is more very rough carved stone. But once you notice it, that's what this is.
So I think this is either like some kind of really creepy, bad knockoff of the yawning portal, or we're in some kind of like parallel mirror dimension or something. Because I mean, that looks familiar to me.
Do you remember? Oh, what was that place we went to? When we ran into that one guy, we ended up
You're not
in a
thinking
place
of
like
this.
this, didn't we?
Sorry, what was that, Helene?
We run
Av-
into a lot of guys.
Averin. Averin.
Yes. No, you're
we,
right.
We were transported to that sort of inverted place. Maybe this is the same place?
That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense.
Yes, I knew you three were the brains of the operation. Tell me, can we have a talk without getting unruly? Maybe
What-
not fireball first and ask questions later.
I am what I am. But sure.
I think you will admit I've come upon my caution honestly.
Why have you taken us from our friends?
At the far side of the room, sitting in what would be a chair, basically with a back to the wall, you see a familiar face appear. She looks like she is made out of star stuff, like nebulas that had been coalesced into a single human form. And sitting at this table, which obscures the horrific mouth across her midsection, she's deceptively beautiful. Her colors swirl and scintillate, and even though she doesn't have prominent features, you still can make out a very warm smile across her lips. And she leans forward and says, I have come to offer you three an opportunity.
You'll have to forgive us for being a little suspicious of that. But yeah, also knowledge, wisdom, over time, that thing.
I understand that the only free cheese is in a ratkin trap, and you all have been greatly misled by those terrible lithids. And she, like, very clearly, lithids. And also misused by people who claim to be your friends, like how Averin wants to call upon you to use your powers to fight for him at the drop of a hat. But I just wanted you to know there are other opportunities in a universe that is expansive beyond your comprehension. I don't come to you as a slaver. I don't come to you as a mind controller. As you see, you've still got your weapons. You've still got your effects. If you wish to attempt to strike me down, you may. I just wanted to talk to you.
So what can we do for you then?
Soon, all will be revealed. Soon, all will be as it once was. I don't know if anyone has ever informed you all that your world and mine used to be one. Abir and Toril hung together in perfect symmetry, orbiting across the stars and planes. That god Ao rent us asunder. She stole us from each other, and now Karshimus, our great lord Karshimus, will reunite our twin worlds, and we will live in peace and balance and harmony.
Do I
It
know
can't.
who this
Hmm?
Karshimus is?
You can give me history with advantage. Helene, you can too, because you were told this name once before. So this will account for maybe you read up about it in the intervening time.
That is an 18.
18. Actually, Helene, I will let you give me Arcana, because there is an Arcana answer to this too, or are they the same?
27 either way.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the
All right, well, great.
same.
Got the same. Natural 20 or just the total was 27?
It was a 19. The total's 27.
For the sake of ease, I'm going to say the twins. I'm going to give you history, and Helene, I'm going to give you Arcana. So we have two different lore dumps here. Karrin and Kerrin, you all know that what she's telling you is true. Abir and Toril were one planet together, and the god Ao did sever them. And, not quite time immemorial. There are some particularly long-lived creatures that very much remember when this happened, but far beyond your standard mortal lifespan. All things being equal, Ao's a good god, so it's just kind of assumed they must have had a good reason to do it, cut the two in half and fling a beer far away. Mostly, a beer is occupied by versions of the same things you find on Toril. It is surprisingly lacking in elves, but there are a species of drow that live here. But there's not many fey creatures, period, actually. So much so that even you, Karrin and Kerrin, feel a slight nausea when you're here. It's a little too far from the Feywild, really. It just kind of is like, you know? Sorry. You also know that after the planet was separated, a lot of things that live here are primordials, very old gods or would-be gods, very old, strange dragons. And this planet has had its own wars for control as people have risen up over time to try and rule everything, just like Toril has. And this Karshimus is the overlord of a land called Sheer. It is one of the two main continents here. And Karshimus rules from a palace, a country-sized citadel of burning ice. And you have an idea where their citadel is supposed to be on this planet. Helene, you know that reuniting the planet would be possible. It was connected once. It would take magic of incredible, almost unimaginable power, and anything of that power is almost certainly going to cause a lot of destruction in the process of trying to reconnect the two. It probably can be done, but it also probably shouldn't be done because a lot of the things that live here, quite frankly, like Nebula and Depth, are kind of terrible. I will say, both of you with those high rolls, is there anything in particular you would like to know? Because 27 is, you know, almost everything there is to know on a subject, and 19 is still very high. So do you have any specific questions that maybe I didn't just say?
Nothing immediately springs to mind. Um, I think for the two of them, their biggest concern is their knowledge of this place is that because it's so far removed from the Feywild, is that doesn't it's not necessarily the best place. We can't necessarily trust anybody we talk to or meet here. So they're fairly on their guard at the moment and sort of following Helene's lead.
She looks over at Karrin and Kerrin and kind of like does a little thing with her face, like with her eyebrows, like we'll talk later, kind of. The Helene kind of scrunches her nose sometimes when she does that, in trying to be slick. It's like, I got an itch. But then she looks and goes, "So what is it that we can do for you? You need our help with something? Do you need help rejoining your planet?" Because I'm not like we're both very good at magic, but I feel like that is something a little out of our hands.
Oh, my sweet child, you have no idea what the three of you are capable of. You especially have no idea what you are capable of, my red-haired beauty. I realize that you all must be deeply suspicious of me. You all are, of course, very intelligent and should be deeply suspicious of me. I would like to offer you a small gift. And when she snaps her fingers, you hear, and through the door, Peter bursts through. And he looks at Karrin and Kerrin and goes, and it just tackles you, Helene. And again, Karrin and Kerrin, the four eyes on his right hand side, two look at Karrin suspiciously and two look at Kerrin suspiciously, while four look down at Helene with just nothing but love in his incredibly alien face as he's like,
I give him a good 5 seconds snuggles.
Again, Peter Parkour is a gray render, which basically is like almost like a grizzly bear if it were made kind of out of a hairless grizzly bear that was made out of living stone with a head like a spider's on it. He's got a interlocking like toothy maw with 4 rows of eyes on each side, and most importantly, he loves exactly one person. Yeah. Yeah, but you're 100% sure it's him and he's healed. In fact, you notice as you're looking at him, he almost seems like better. Like his skin is like it's still gray, but it's like this environment suits him.
You like it here, boy?
You know, and he sort of like backs off for a second, and you see he turns his head towards Nebula, and all 8 eyes go mean. And she sort of like holds her hand up. She's like, there, pup. It wouldn't do to bring you back simply to send you back into the void. I will 2 other pieces of information that I will still roll into your previous lore dump there. You know, a beer was moved into a pocket dimension. It's not just physically far from Toril, it's on another plane. Its own little pocket plane is where it is. You also know when you saw what Nebula and Depth were doing before, essentially drilling those holes between the planes that you closed with the help of Averin and Freely, might be some way they're trying to the beginnings of them tethering it back together again. You've all have spent a lot of time kind of tumbling over in your minds, like, what were they doing? Like with that whole red sky earthquake thing, what was that? And you concluded that that red sky that you were seeing, there's no way to know for sure, of course, but you might have just been getting a glimpse of the sky over a beer, which is bright red.
You seem to have pretty high expectations of us, but you still really haven't told us what you want.
You're correct. I have not. I will give you two choices. One, you may simply do nothing. Do not interfere with us. We will not interfere with you. You may return to your vessel, to your island, to your world, your Feywild, whatever you find interesting. Go in peace, and we might never interact again. Or you can commit yourself to the winning side, to our just cause of reunification. And when this new grand reality is established, you and all who stand with our Lord Kashimus will be recognized as the real heroes of the people of two worlds. What could be better than that?
Why were you separated to begin with?
She leans forward and she says, "You know, I have existed since time immemorial. I am quite literally made of the fabric of the universe, and I myself don't know the answer to that question. If I ever were to meet Io, surely I would ask. But I only know things were set out of balance. I believe there was some war between the primordials and the gods. The details were hazy, and neither side tells the truth. You know how that is. It's like a messy breakup on a cataclysmic cosmic scale.
How do you know it's not better this way? I mean, maybe if you guys had stayed together, you would have like imploded or something, and then like none of us would exist.
Mutually
Sometimes things
assured
happen for a reason.
destruction.
You said that was sometimes something happened. What there, Helene? Sorry.
Sometimes things happen for a reason.
And you said what there, Karrin and Kerrin?
Mutually assured destruction.
When she says some sort of war, Karn and Kieran, you all have been taught about the Dawn War, where the gods and the primordials did fight. And when she says that was part of the essentially the peace settlement, you're like, maybe, like the gods got Toril and the primordials got a beer.
I think this is something that's possibly a little bit bigger than we are. And definitely not our fight. But if it results in either world potentially being destroyed for good, I don't know. I feel like we should do more research, have more knowledge. I don't think it's a decision that we can just make.
Can we take a rain check with our answer with you? Is it possible at all? We will stay out of your way, but while we're kind of out and about, if we find out any information to maybe help you, is there a way to maybe get a hold of you or get it back to you? Because
She sort
again,
of
the twins like that, they're right, and she's she is asking for our help, guys, but and I feel bad that we can't but it's it's a big problem for us, but we are very helpful people.
she sort of she smiles and motions with her hand, and you see from near the bar a small scroll comes floating over and lands on the table. And she says, "Read this, and you will be able to contact me." It's a simple spell scroll. You'll see there is no deceit involved. I am greatly pleased by this interaction. Others thought that diplomacy was useless and that you would have to be destroyed. I knew that you would see reason, or at least be willing to entertain it. Could I
should
interest
inform
you?
you,
Sorry.
bribery will get you most places, and I do scratch behind parkour's here.
She looks, she's like, "Now, could I perhaps interest you in a small tour of our city? We actually have cultivated a small pocket of the Feywild here that you all might find most interesting.
Is that
Don't
where our
we-
friends are?
Yeah, I think maybe we've been separated from them long enough.
Oh. Please don't take this the wrong way, because I myself had no hand in it. I'm fairly certain they may be dead now. They were walking into a certain trap. That is why I rescued you.
Excuse me?
Yes, there was a cursed creature, a terrible piece of work, and she was residing in a cave, and your
Send us
friends were.
back now.
Oh, is that your answer, also, wizard?
Yes. 100,000%. Mm-hmm.
When you say that, you see from along the floor something you hadn't noticed before are worms inching along the floor. And they're kind of all over the place in the darkness. And they begin to coalesce and stand up near where she's sitting. And you see depth forms out of the ground. And he looks at you all and he says, "We did you a favor saving you from Arasta, the Spider Queen."
Send us back.
They look at each other, and you see both of them hold their hands up and point them towards you, and you feel a warm light start to fill the room. And the two of them look at each other for a second. And Depth has a mask on, so you can never see whatever its expression is, but you swear for a split second you register confusion on the face of Nebula, and you find yourself, the six of you, standing on top of a mountain, and it is cold. You, Rayonde, Aiden, Xander, had been there and felt the flash of light, and you're here on this cold mountaintop. And Helene and Karrin and Kerrin are standing right there. But Freely and Celise are gone.
Do I still have Peter?
Peter is not there.
Kerrin is. I'm going to assume that either Kerrin or Karn grabbed the scroll before they were sent off. So one of the two of them has it.
Mhm.
So
It's in your possession. And when you do check, whenever you check, it is basically sending. Like it's not a trick. It's essentially sending with her number pre-programmed. You've been given a burner scroll, basically.
So
the moment the twins see Aiden and Xander, they just run right up to them and give them a big hug.
I was gonna
You
say,
they're beat up, Karrin and Kerrin. All three of them are beat up. They are burned and cut.
yeah,
In
Rayonde
it's a-
rushes up to Helene as well.
It's a
Mhm.
hug heel. It's a
Mhm.
hug heel. A very, 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 very tight hug heel.
Helene, when Rayonde runs up and you hug him, you realize he's banged up. He's banged up.
Oh,
Oh, not that rib. Yeah, just well, you're a squeezer, aren't you?
brew it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a spider monster person. She was, yeah, but it's funny. At the end, I actually quite felt a bit bad for her. But we met some other people who are quite helpful as well.
I'm sure the spider person looks much worse than you do.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Xander messed her right up.
yeah,
And then she came back from the jet. But anyway, where have you been?
Everybody
we-
have 14 hit points, by the way.
We were, we saw a couple. I don't know. We think it was what, like like a shadowy. It was the other
We were
side of.
back on we were back on Ibir. We were taken by Nebula and Depth back to Ibir.
The important thing here is Peter Parkour was back and then he was gone again, and now I am very distraught.
What are they?
That's no, that's definitely the important thing. Why did they do it?
Yeah.
They wanted to cut a deal with us, Helene and Kerrin and I specifically.
To do what?
They wanted to rejoin the other side.
They want to fuse Toril and Ibir back together again. And they want
Again?
our
Yeah, apparently they were split up by a god. I think.
Who?
Io.
Which one's that? Never mind, not important.
We can tell you later.
So they're trying to mighty morph these gods together, and then what?
Planets. The planets. A long time ago, there was a war, the Dawn War. The primordials and the gods fought each other, and essentially the treaty was gods get one planet, Toril, and the primordials get the other planet, Ibir. Nebula and Depth are trying to rejoin them. They asked us to either stay out of their way or help them.
So they screwed up their house, and now they want to come in and trash ours too.
That's what it sounds like. Or combine them, I guess.
So you said no, and then they let you leave, right?
Are not doing it.
Yeah, why did they send you back?
We tried to be political. I told them that we would stay out of their way unless we found information to help them, and they let us go and gave us a thing to contact them if we found out anything. But I was just trying to lay some honeyed words on to get us out of there because we didn't know where you guys were in reality, and we're kind of just trying to keep it as calm as possible until we could get back to you.
No, yeah, that's a good move. You say what you have to, you lie, you get yourselves out of the dangerous situation and back to us, and then we solve everything together. Which reminds me, how come they only wanted you three? What's wrong with us?
I think they wanted
magic,
to
right?
avoid physical conflict.
And the things that they're asking, for is kind of like super magic kind of stuff that even honestly I think is way over our pay grade. So
they kept insisting that we have more power than we realize, which felt nice to hear, but even so, this is much, much bigger than us. So we told them we needed to do more research, which I'm actually kind of excited about. Yeah, me too. That will be a lot of fun. Yeah, it will be a lot of fun. I can't wait to find out what books we can read about this.
Whoa.
Library. Huh?
So are we actually researching this thing, and are we doing it in a library?
That's generally how you learn more about the history of things, and it can help give context to stuff.
Xander, give me either a perception or a nature check, whichever's higher.
Oh, well then. Hey. Perception is higher for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, natural 20.
Hey.
Is that good? Did I break it?
Xander, again, for those of you watching, we only play with one house rule, that a 20 always succeeds and a 1 always fails, even on skill checks. Xander, as everyone is very rightfully checking in with each other, making sure you're okay, healing, going out, and comparing notes, as you're sort of looking around, you don't know where you are. These mountains aren't near Waterdeep, and although you're not at such an elevation that it should be this cold, it's summertime in Waterdeep. It's cold here where you are. And as you look out, this is a land that you have never been to.
Seems like a common theme the past few days. So, guys, well, I guess the biggest question would be, why are we here on this mountain freezing our booties off?
Yeah,
Oh, are you cold?
Yeah, it's really cold.
I'm not cold.
I thought you
damn
guys.
hot. I started taking off my clothes.
They just dropped us off where you guys were. I thought you had set up camp here or something. I mean, I wasn't going to
No,
judge your
this
choice.
is not.
I did notice that Nebula and Depth seemed to be slightly confused when they sent us off. Maybe something intercepted us on our way here?
I mean, we keep getting sent all over the place, so I don't really know what's going on, to be honest.
We're becoming very well traveled?
Can I
Yeah,
pull
but
out some
how?
of my maps? Because Rayonde is a cartographer. I want to start looking at my maps and see
Where in the Sword Coast are we?
Can the
You-
twins assist?
You can. Yeah, you can roll with advantage when you're checking your
Where
maps there.
Sword Coast is Rayonde.
That's true. That's gonna be the spinoff show.
Where
At
is
Rayonde and
our
friends.
coast is Rayonde?
Just gotta get
what kind of check was it?
you can give either nature or survival, whichever's higher, and roll with advantage.
Okay. All right. Then my higher one is still only a 13.
As you were looking through your maps and everything, you see that basically what Xander told you is correct. This mountain range is not on any of them.
I mean, on one level, that's exciting. I mean, if we can find out where we were, maybe we discover this. We could name this Mount Helene,
What color is the sky?
Mount St. Helen. I don't know, something.
The Ridge of Rayonde.
This sounds very explosive. Yeah. Is it too soon? Too soon for that?
Did we
Excuse
see
me, Dungeon Master. What color is the sky?
Blue.
Well, technically, it would be transparent, but it's okay. But
Science. Yeah. It's it looks like the sky on the prime material plane. At least nothing about it is clearly not that. You know, like there's a sun overhead, you know, there's a blue sky and clouds.
All right, so I'm going to hazard a guess and say wherever we are, we're in the north of said place, given the temperature.
What if we're in the south?
yeah, because it could equally be as cold.
Is that how that works?
What is it you're trying to think up there, over there, Xander?
I'm just curious if I see any caves or things to get out of the harshness of the weather that we're experiencing.
I'm going to say that I'm still going to cover this under your natural 20 from before, Xander. Is you're sort of looking around. You guys are kind of on this plateau here. You do realize there is a small path in the rocks that seems to lead into the mountain.
Well, I point that out to everyone. Hey, look, there's a path that leads into the mountain. I feel like we know what we should do by now because we keep getting teleported all over the place, and it seems that we always end up going into a mountain or the caves underneath and to dark, scary things, and my mind usually gets taken over. It's fine. I'm over it. But we should probably...
Well,
Not
I mean,
on
I'm
time
freezing, and the Gat Cave can't be any worse than the last one. So, yes, let's go.
This is super cold.
Is you all make your way in. I need to look up one thing here. Yes.
Kerrin and Karrin might be making slight show of how cold they are. You know, maybe.
I don't need my jacket there. Yep. The goosebumps are like inches high on Aiden. Aiden is freezing.
I think when Kerrin notices that, they kind of shuffle close to Aiden and kind of just like.
I do the same on the other side of Aiden. It's an Aiden sandwich.
Karrin will just be over here.
The BRB dying. Is you all are sort of making your way along. Helene, you notice something carved in the rock, which through the wonders of technology, I'm going to send you all in chat. It looks like a hammer, or perhaps a very large screw. It's difficult to say, with a set of balance scales on top of the hammer. And it is carved in the rock over the doorway.
Is there something I could roll to maybe know what it means, like a history check or?
You can roll history or religion.
Can I roll Aiden?
Hey.
If you choose to, go ahead, Helene. Sorry. You are muted, ma'am. I see your lips moving. I don't know if you're talking to us or if that was you were mathing. If you were mathing, yep.
It's 16.
Tyr is a very common god. It is a symbol of the god Tyr.
Oh, we ran into a paladin who had that on her shield, I think.
She did.
Do you think she sent us here, or maybe
she's in here? I mean, she was with us, and now she's not. And like freely seems to just come and go, well, freely. But maybe this is like her place, or people know her.
Wait, you ran into more people? Are we missing them too?
Yeah. You met freely, but Celeste was a paladin and had this real big sword and like. Yeah, no, yeah, she's great. She's great.
Righteous, quite righteous.
Yeah.
Literally.
Was it just the two of them? I'm glad we saw Freely again. He's I like him.
I actually saved him from what I think was probably a certain death.
You know, that's great. You got to actively be his luck, his hand in luck. Because I hear halflings are very lucky. So but I would expect that of you, Rayonde. And she does
something to rub off on me, I'm sure.
She does smile and put her hand on Rayonde's shoulder.
Whoa, your hands are colder than out here. Let's go.
Yeah, sorry. You know what? I'm not going to light my hand on fire with a fireball. I thought about it, and I'm going to save it just in case, because we don't know what's in there yet. And or maybe I can hold a fireball. Can I hold a fireball for an extended period of time to keep us all warm until I get in there? Just ready it in case we see something.
Don't you have a cantrip or something for that? I mean,
do I?
So you'd find out. Well, let's take a look at Helene's spells real quick here.
I mean, I have Sacred Flame.
Through the wonders of D&D Beyond.
I do
and
not.
You do not really have an easy source of fire.
I'm just gonna
let me rephrase. You don't have an easy source of not murder fire.
Yes.
We can just light a torch.
Yeah, I'm
fire too big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. I know we're not fancy and magic and worth taking to a beer because we're more powerful. Maybe we're just as powerful as we appear, but like here's a torch that I lit with some tinder. Have fun.
Well, Aiden, there's another interpretation as well, is that they said you don't understand your power, which could be that we're not. It's not that we're less powerful. We understand our power. We have
That's
a better.
True. I do understand. Just how powerful I am. And Aiden involuntarily shivers a little bit.
Yes, and Helene, as you were tumbling around in your mind, the fact that you've got several sources of fire that do fireness, maybe have to learn a lower key version of fire. Although with prestidigitation, you can instantly ignite torches in small sources of fire if you so chose. You all make your way in to this cave, and right when you come inside, it immediately feels a little warmer. It honestly feels just right, temperature wise. And as you start to walk, you begin to hear your footfalls like echo on the floor. Like, not like you're walking into a cave, but more like you're walking into a hall. And you hear, "Ho, heroes."
Hello.
Oh.
As you guys make your way in a little further, there are a row of 8 columns. And at the end of the hall is a gigantic set of scales hanging from the wall, balancing scales, not dragon scales. And at the base of it is a chair where you see a man sitting who looks like what I'm also going to send you through the wonder of technology. He is tall and incredibly muscular with a very long white beard that blends into long, flowing white hair. And in his left hand, he's holding a very, very big sword, and his right hand is gone, clearly ending in a stump. His eyes are closed and his head's slightly tilted while he's talking to you, but you clearly see that there is a halo over his head. This man is clearly divine.
Are you Tyr? I say that very unrespectfully.
He just sort of looks up and he just says, "Oh, Xander. Again with the bravado, boy. What has it gained you?"
A lot, actually. Pretty well off right now. I'm doing good. Got my friends. Got some money. Pretty full. Food.
"And yet, if it were not for me, you would be food now." And he stands up, and you see he's about 8 feet tall. Come closer, all of you. Even you, Helene, Karrin, and Kerrin, that I too have restored. When my child Celeste called out to me, I felt it only fitting that I extend my grace to you 3 as well.
Hey, we got graced.
You're very kind, sir, for saving us and our friends. Curious, are you the one that keeps throwing us all over the place? Like teleporting us?
No.
I'm sorry.
Well, this time, yes. Xander, you're smarter than this, boy. You heard Celeste fell to her knees and hearkened unto me. And now you are here. This should be a fairly straight line to follow.
Yeah, except we keep getting tricked and messed with by evil villains. So what's, to say that you're just not some...
When you say that, he's immediately next to you, looming over you, and he's like, "Are you calling me Tyr evil, Xander?"
You're not
The
really...
twins are just going to kind of interpose themselves between this, and they're going to bow at the waist to Tyr. We thank you for saving our friends and for intervening in our plight. Please do not be cross with Xander. He's been through a lot, and he's just trying to protect us.
Fear not,
He is.
young clerics. I was once young and foolish as well some time ago, and yet I cannot have lies spoken in my court. Do you understand this? All of you. This is a place of law and truth.
We understand.
And he turns and points at you, Aiden, and he's like, "I realize this may be challenging for you, boy."
No, sir, Mr. Tyr God, sir. Sir?
You hear a familiar whisper in your ear, Aiden. "This one is different, Aiden. You must be careful to get out of here with your head on your shoulders."
I'm trying. Shoot.
And you see he turns, and even though he basically was instantly at Xander, he turns and walks back to his chair and kind of walks up onto the dais and just like sits down. And he says, "Yes, I realize you all have had some eventful evenings of late. How might I be of some assistance?"
Didn't you bring us to you?
Would someone else like to explain it to Xander? Apparently, the common tongue is not getting across my meaning to the lad.
I've got this. So Tyr is a god, right? He's a good god. And he has saved us. He wasn't the one teleporting us all over the place. Those were other worldly beings, of which we've met some. And yeah, Tyr was just helping us out. I mean, so thank you, Tyr, by the way. I'm Rayonde, and I too am a fan of justice and stuff. I haven't included you in my prayers, but don't be offended. I don't really pray to anybody. I think a lot of strength and divinity should come from within, you know. But you've been very, very helpful, and I think we should probably like to get back to our ship, which is moored in in Waterdeep, the harbor of Waterdeep. If you're interested, there are also there's a lot of evil mind flayers underneath Waterdeep, which you could do with a good smiting, which I hear that is kind of your thing. So yeah,
Not all of them are bad though. Some of them are quite good.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically, like, we'd like to go home, but if you need to do some good somewhere, that's where I would suggest. That's where I would start.
I assure you, when our audience concludes, I will deliver you safely to wherever you request.
Excellent.
I like you, youth. Many mortals spend their lives questing and praying and doing grand deeds in the hopes of getting my attention. And here, at my feet, you all are tongue-tied. Ha! I shall bless Celise for this. She has not only served me well as a servant, but provided me both with the opportunity to perform a just deed in your liberation, but also to be entertained. Ha ha! And his laugh sort of like booms. And he kind of like slaps his leg when he says it.
May I ask for something?
You see, he tilts his head sort of towards you because, again, his eyes are closed. And he's like, "Yes, child, speak."
And Helene has kind of been like down at the back, just kind of like keeping her head bowed like the entire time, like out of respect and absolute fear. And she looks up and goes, "Is there anything you can do to protect my friends from some of the stuff the mind flayers do? Like anything you could bless them or give them that would help them a little up here with some of the mind control stuff that seems to be kind of a problem for us a lot lately?"
When he says that, he just sort of nods, and then he's next to you again. And he says, but Xander's strength lay here. And he slaps him on the arm, and here. And his fist is kind of the size of your whole head. But he's like the bro punch kind of in the heart. He's like, lamentably, it is not here. And just like taps him on the forehead. He says, "If only he knew the stillness of the mind that Rayonde possesses, and yet, Xander, the simplicity of your thinking is still an asset at times. Not all warrior need be a philosopher. Some simply strike when the need arises."
I agree. Is he right in front of my face right now?
Oh yeah, no, he's the well, I mean, you're kind of like at his navel, but because he's huge.
Right.
But, you're kind of at his mid chest because he's about 8 foot, and you're 6 and change. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I puff up my chest And I say, Tyr, by your hammer, bless me with your power, so I may smite all the enemies in your name. I try to do what he's doing, but I don't know. Try to be very bravado about it. I am worthy.
He just looks at you for a second and then he turns his head to you, Helene, and he says, "They are what they are, child, and I cannot impede upon their own free will. But
It was worth a shot. I'm just trying to
he
protect everybody.
he does come a little closer to you, and he leans down and he says, I am prepared to do you a different kindness, girl. I am the god of balance, of law, of justice. Your path, all of your paths, but you in particular, Red Wizard, is about to split in a very dangerous way. You will be presented with a terrible choice that will have consequences that ring through the multiverse. I cannot make this choice for you, but I can. Oh, he's talking to Helene. He's right in your face.
Are you talking about the planets?
No, child, I'm not. I can put you on a different path if you chose. One that will not cause you as much pain. That will not be so difficult as what lay before you now.
And would it end any worse? Again, you're about balance. So less pain now must mean more in the end, no?
You are wise for one so young. Perhaps what is destined cannot be impeded.
I appreciate your offer, but we'll keep tracking. Thank you.
Child, when the time comes, anger never leads anywhere good, and revenge is a fool's errand.
I'll keep that in mind.
And he stands and he looks at you, Rayonde, and he puts his stump on your shoulder and says, you are a great warrior of honor and valor. Know that the gods have smiled upon you.
Oh, wow. Oh, thanks. And also, thanks for telling Xander that he's foolish. That's gonna shrink his head a little bit.
He puts his hand on your shoulder and turns you towards Helene and says, tell her the hour is late.
Oh, way to put me on the spot here, but he is right, Helene. I care for you more than anything in this world. And if sometimes I seem like I'm trying to keep you from being the adventurer that you want to be, it's only because I look forward to the time when this can be over and we can be together and free.
We're together and free now. And we always will be. And I care for you the same. And Helene will run up to him and give him a kiss.
Mm.
I pass Xander 5 gold pieces.
I take him.
Tyr turns and looks at you and he's like, be sure to make a donation at my temple. And he just sort of like smiles and looks at them for a second. And he's like, Aiden.
Mr. God Tier, sir?
Oh no. This is a place of truth, boy.
Yeah.
I impede on no mortal's free will. Although you may not speak falsehoods in my presence, you reserve the right to simply not speak. Is there something you wish to share with your companions here? You who have all fought and bled and died together as warriors. Ah! Why do you choose to carry such a burden alone? Now, Aiden, I don't think you hear the voice gets just quieter and quieter. It's almost like it's staticky, like Harut can't quite reach you anymore.
Is there something I wish to share? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Whoa. Hey guys. So the twins were right that maybe I have an angelic background of some kind, and there's this guy named Harut, and he talks to my head and pretty much always has in my dreams. Yes, it was true. I really did talk in my dreams. That I was lying when I said I didn't before, and I fell. I think because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not fine. Whoa, that no falsehood thing is wild.
Kerrin just walks up to Aiden and like kind of takes their hand and like squeezes it gently. Thank you for choosing to speak. And I hope that you know we don't care what your past is. We care that you're here. And we care that you're safe. And I care more than you could ever know that you're here and that you're safe. And you can always count on us, on me, to help you if you need it. We're not going anywhere. And we won't abandon you.
Put my arm around them, around their shoulder, pull them close, and just lean down and kiss their forehead, the part of their head actually where it's shaved instead of hawked, and just put my head on top of theirs. And try not to think about the contract that I've taken after this.
Tyr looks at you, Xander, and says, that is why you had your small detour to Arborea. The angelic guardian over Aiden's soul felt you all needed a break. And I must admit, I agree. You, Xander, will have a harder part in what is to come. But I assure you, your back is strong enough to stand up under the weight.
Okay. Well, awesome. So why is it you brought us here then?
I wanted to look upon you heroes with my own eyes, so to speak. Because you all are heavily entangled in the weave of fate. And as I look, and he motions back to the scales, and you see one of them just starts to very quickly shift to the side. And then after a moment, it very quickly shifts to the other side. And it's like, your lives in particular are interwoven with chaos and complexity. I have seen you all live and die many times. I've seen you all live multiple lives. That is not for mortals. That is not how things are meant to be. And for a very quick second, you all get strobing flashes in your mind of a battle, huge and chaotic. You see Rayonde standing on a rock with a spear in flames, yelling, surrounded by monsters. You see all of you fighting back to back and explosions going off, in Helene in the air throwing what looks like comets down on the ground. You see Aiden yelling and commanding someone to open fire. In Xander, you see yourself running, and Karrin and Kerrin opening a portal for you, and you jumping through and striking at some giant werewolf. And then you see something completely different. You see Aiden dressed in the finery of a merchant, in silks with a combed over hair, in beautiful lustrous skin, walking along a beach calmly enjoying his day. You see Karrin and Kerrin standing over a cathedral, administering a ceremony to legions of adherents in a gorgeous wooden cathedral with beautiful plants growing all the way up to the rafters. You see Rayonde sitting alone somewhere on a far-flung mountain in stillness, in meditation, his face completely calm as little bits of frost sort to form along his shoulders. You see Xander walking through the halls of House Kendrick, wearing the armor of a nobleman, with legions of soldiers standing erect as he walks by and saluting him as he sort of inspects. And you see another person with long red braided hair, with leather straps and barbs in it, and turns and looks at you. And for the split second, you think you see the face of your old friend Helene, but her eyes light on fire, and you're back standing here in front of Tyr.
Was that the future? Is that what's gonna happen to all of us?
He doesn't say anything. He just turns and walks back towards the chair, and the scales kind of move back towards the middle.
That was a lot.
What should we do? Which path should we take? Which path can we take?
How do we know which path is which?
Maybe they're all the same path.
It is forbidden to speak falsehoods in this place. So believe me when I tell you, I do not know.
That seems fair enough. Even for a god. The future is always unknowable.
Hey, Kerrin, we allowed to ask him about the thing with the primordials? Like, maybe he could help
Well,
tell
we
us
were
what's...
going to, but then he started asking everyone to like admit their truth, and it kind of got like the timing was
Well, so
awkward.
maybe this is a good time. Can you ask him? I don't want to. He scares me.
Okay. Karrin, you ask him. You haven't had the chance to talk yet. Karrin has also been sort of hanging towards the back, and they kind of step up. We were brought back from Ibir. We were speaking with some of the beings that lived there. They wanted to bring Ibir and Toro back together. We don't know enough about. Well, we know some about the history of the Dawn War and what happened, but we don't understand the ramifications of what would be if Ibira and Toro were brought back together.
I understand the Dawn War. He holds up his stump all too well. It was a terrible time. One that is beyond mortal comprehension, and rightly so. Death and cataclysm on an untold scale. I don't know if Io was correct in doing what he did, but he did maintain balance and allow life to flourish in its own way in each place. I cannot believe any good would come from this reunion. You all were offered neutrality. What do you choose? Yes, I can help to a certain extent. As you know, the gods cannot do for mortals what mortals must do for themselves. But I would be remiss if I did not inform you of something significant.
Yes?
The next time you return to your vessel, the next time you return home, will be for the last time. You might go and fight to save two worlds, or you might decide it is beyond you. None would fault you for this. There would be no shame in not wanting to involve yourself in a war of gods and monsters and planets. But I will tell you, no peace lay ahead.
May I make a request?
Speak, cleric.
I don't know if you ever speak to Coralon, but the next time you see her, will you tell her servants are waiting for her?
I assure you the message will be transmitted.
Thank you
Although,
for saving my friends.
when my servants call, I hear. I assure you, Coralon does too.
Thank you.
Choose, heroes. Forward on your own path, such as it is. Or do you deviate to fight for all living things?
I'd like to get real close to the god, if that's okay.
He's sitting on the chair now, but if you approach him, he doesn't do anything.
I'd like to approach him and get out of earshot of the rest of the group, if that's okay.
If you sort of like kind of walk up onto his like dais near him, like he leans down and kind of like turns again, like his head's the size of your torso, but he does sort of lean into you.
So I kind of just look at him and, sir, I don't really know what to call you. I haven't really met a god before, and I'm pretty sure I'm being disrespectful the entire time. It's not my plan to be, but mortals. Since we're being truthful with everything, what if I'm not strong enough? What if I can't save my friends? What if I mess up and I kill more people that I care about? What if I'm not strong enough?
He turns his face towards you slightly, and he just holds up his stump and he says, "Our scars are what define us, boy. You cannot control the outcome of the battle. Simply which side you choose to be on and how hard you choose to fight."
I just don't want to mess up. I don't want to fail again.
He turns and he smiles at you. And he says, "There is no victory without defeat. There is no birth without death. There is no day without night. This is what the balance is." Motioning towards the giant scales over him. "You, my friend, will know victory and you will know defeat. But I suspect if you follow this," and he pokes you in the chest again, but this time much, much gentler, "you will be able to live with the outcome." But he leans down next to you and he says, "But I cannot say the same of all of your friends." And he just sits back.
Well, thank you for your wisdom and advice. I have a lot to think about.
I will give you a moment to discuss amongst yourselves. I will deposit you wherever you wish to go. And it's like in the court, essentially, it's like a wall appears where he was, leaving you all still sort of in this room, but you get the distinct impression he's not in it.
Okay. I mean, he could probably still hear us. But I kind of feel like if he's giving us privacy, maybe he really is giving us privacy.
He can't speak falsehoods here, so if he says he's giving us privacy, he's giving us privacy.
Yeah. So, all about this whole saving two worlds or going back to safety thing. I mean, I know I've been on record before for not wanting to get involved in things that we're not getting paid for, that are not our problem. But I mean, I feel like the stake of these worlds is that, I mean, we have to do it, right?
We're being called on by a god.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of options. It's not going to be safe and easy no matter which way it goes. Again, even if we do something safe and easy now, in the end, maybe that's what leads to that end of that vision that I don't want to refer back to and kind of want to pretend like I didn't see. So maybe we just have to push through it now. And even though it's harder, maybe in the end it'll be rewarding. Maybe we end up on a better side.
Yeah, and I mean, that might only be one way things can end, right? I mean, if we have choice, I saw some things in that vision which didn't make a lot of sense to me. Like a spear, come on, that's an incredibly inelegant weapon compared to this. Just there has to be some other context for those things for them to make sense. I don't think we should put too much stock in those visions.
There is another incentive to doing as Tyr asks. If we decide to go back to the ship and back home, that's the end. I know some of you were ready to put up your swords and end your adventures or move on to the next thing, but saving two worlds at your sides, that's not nothing. And it means that we can stay together.
And maybe
And
that-
look,
that's
these
the-
guys really seem to have it out for Averin, and I flip a coin he gave me, and I like that guy. I mean, I know we're in like one god's house, and I don't know if you're supposed to talk about the other god, but like, if we can help him, like, there are a lot of people we can help, and we can help gods, and like, look, that's just not a bad idea. If there's anyone you want to do favors for, it's gods,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Helene, you were about to say something?
that thing about going home for the last time, that it would be the last time. Maybe that's only if we choose that. I don't like the sound of that. That to me sounds like all the worlds get destroyed, including us at home. And I don't want to think that I'm never going to see my family again. I think this is the only way. We have to do it even just for them.
Yeah.
Xander?
I don't know. I think we should do it. I think we should. I don't see us doing anything else, obviously, but I also don't think that if we do take the safe route, I don't think that's safe. I think that we still end up dead. So I'd rather die with a sword in my hand and with my friends by my sides than in some cottage in a random far off village. It's just, I'd rather be fighting for what I care about. And I just love you guys, and I don't want to lose you guys. So if you decide to save two worlds, then I guess I'm down. I'm in it.
Well, good, because you make a terrible farmer.
That's the truth.
I can cook some carrots and
You're
peels.
about as good a cook as you are a stealthily sneaky person.
And don't lie, we'd
I'm
end up with
amazing at
fields of
stealth. Okay,
mushrooms.
no one ever. sees
Okay, you cannot tell falsehoods in this house.
Hey.
I am
This is
not.
a house of tears.
That is my
He
truth.
cannot lie. He can be wrong. I'm sorry. You said something there.
He does.
Oh, I
He
know,
does
I-
believe that he is actually good at stuff. So let's just give it to him.
Yeah, he just says we're just gonna
Never.
end up with a field of those mushrooms.
Those
We
mushrooms.
really should take a look and see if those have had any long-lasting effects on his brain.
I mean, I had a bunch of them, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's not fine.
Mm.
It's because you weren't really there. Your body was somewhere else. I'm sure if you'd really been there, you would have experienced some longer repercussions for your
Well,
greed.
I tasted blue, so who won? That's what I thought.
You say you
So I think-
tasted blue, but you can't communicate that to anybody else.
Yeah, well, that's how intersubjectivity works. So we're gonna like do this big cosmic battle, right? We're all agreed.
Yeah.
We're going to do a big cosmic battle.
Yeah, I think
All
that's
right. Then we're
Um,
gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, Tyr
We're
wouldn't have
ready.
just picked anybody for this. I mean, it's obvious that there are good people, good gods involved in this conflict, and they've identified us as being capable of doing this. So we're going to do it.
Or at least the most foolhardy.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, what?
It means we're the best.
Kerrin just gives Aiden a kiss on the cheek and just kind of shakes their head at him.
Does anyone let Tyr know that you're done? Are you done?
Helene shouted out about 30 seconds ago. Can you guys hear me? Is my mic coming through?
I can now. That your audio is ducking against everybody else. That's why I keep being like, wait, what'd you say? Wait, what'd you say? Like,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Helene shouts out and she says, Tyr, we're ready. We have our answer.
the wall sort of shimmers and drops away, and he's sitting there in the same place.
I think we're ready to go. We're
Where do you choose?
going to fight.
He like leans forward a little bit and he's like, I recognize your bravery. I will see that you were up to the challenge. And he just motions for you all to kind of step in front of him.
Step in front of him.
Please be a magic dagger. Please be a magic dagger.
And he looks down at you and he says, I cannot give you anything that you have not earned, but I can give you something that you simply will earn, but haven't yet. And from his blind eyes, they glow for a moment. And you all feel light move through you. And you feel power move through you. Karrin, Kerrin, and Helene, you all feel your minds expanding in arcane formulae arranging in your minds that you hadn't even considered. Helene, you think back to that moment when you were like, can I hold a fire that wouldn't hurt? You're like, yes, actually. And there is more I can do with it. I can fire beams. I can pull flaming rocks out of the sky, like what you saw in that vision. Karrin and Kerrin, the mysteries of life and death itself unfold before you, of how souls come and go and can be reunited, how people could be brought back from the spirit world and reincarnated here in the physical world, of how to raise your voice in such a way that the gods simply cannot ignore, and nor can anyone else anywhere ever. Aiden, you realize, oh, that's the thing with the bucket. Oh, okay. So just that is how to move, how to stand. You feel Harut not just speaking to you, but you feel embodied by him. You feel a certain dark power coursing through your veins that you hadn't realized, something that you'd been fighting about yourself, but now have so thoroughly embraced that it just is you. And you all see the sockets around his eyes fill in like even darker, and his skin becomes so pale that he's almost ghost-like. But a faint symbol appears on his forehead as a small smile creeps across his lips. Xander, you feel your muscles just grow intense and your shoulders start to fill out. And you just feel very calm and relaxed. That just sort of creeping anxiety of like just fear just drops away. And as you sort of like squeeze the hilt of your sword, you just feel the knowledge of 1,000 battles just sort of rushing through your mind, of times that you had to make the call and you made the right one, that you had to be the one to strike the killing blow, and you did. And you realize you are strong. You do belong here. You can do this. And Rayonde, you feel silence. Absolute silence. You look down and your hands are stronger, but it's like you just woke up from a dream you don't remember. It's like someone pushed pause on reality. In your emotions have almost been completely removed. Like you've just been restarted somehow in a way that you don't quite comprehend. And Tyr looks down at all of you and says, "Are you prepared?"
We are.
Yes.
His eyes glow again, and you all feel the same warm glow of bright, clear light wash over you that you felt before. The glow dissipates, and you all find yourself standing again on a windswept hellscape with a crackling red sky overhead. But this time, a beer is not quite so frightening. And as you look down at the valley beneath you, you all see something very similar to what you witnessed on your first visit here. There is something that looks like a large, energetic tether that is coming out of the ground and sort of up into the sky. It sort of dissipates midway up into a morass of clouds and electricity. And down at the base of it, you see a gargantuan white dragon curled around the base of it protectively. What would you all like to do?
Well, I think we have a challenge put before us. And I'd like to disappear.
It's like he's just not there anymore.
How close are we?
You're probably 200-ish feet away. You all are kind of up on this like rocky, craggy outcropping, and it appears to be asleep, like its head is wrapped all the way around, like sort of to its tail, around the base of this energetic flow.
I'd like to take a minute and really just get to know my enemy. That's okay.
You do sort of like kind of analyze it for a moment. You're like tip to tail, wingspan, okay, yeah. And yes, you have known your enemy, Xander.
Perfect. As long as I know where to hit it, that's all I want to know, really.
Even as you look at it, your mind is sort of filled now with a vision of dozens of dragon battles that you didn't remember before, but somehow your sword knows where to go. What is Rayonde doing?
I think I want to try to speak to it in Draconic.
Excellent.
Say,
All right. Well, hang on. Before you tell me what you're going to say, I'm going to find out what Karrin and Kerrin are doing here.
So Karrin turns to Xander as he's studying this creature, and before what they know is going to be the inevitable charge into battle, they just kind of rest their hand on Xander's forearm and says, "We make it through this? I'd really like to have a talk with you." And then they cast magic weapon on his sword.
Which does what for him?
You touch a non-magical weapon until the spell ends. That weapon becomes a magic weapon with a +1 bonus to attack rolls and damage rolls. If I cast it at a higher level, it becomes +2. So how about we go ahead and cast this at a 6th level so that it's a +3 bonus to that attack.
Excellent. So +3 to attack and damage on your sword now. And what is Helene doing? You see Rayonde steps forward clearly like he wants to talk. What does Helene do?
She takes Rayonde's lead. She kind of nods at him and lets him do his thing and steps aside.
Okay. What would you like to say, Ray? Well, do you walk forward or do you speak from up here?
I think I'd probably walk a little bit forward, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'd address the dragon in Draconic, and I just say,
Well, I want you to know that we value no ill will, and that we were sent here as a trial. I hope we can be friends after this. Basically, is what I'm saying.
And then I draw my sword.
It opens an eye slowly and lazily and says to you back in Draconic, what makes you think I'm interested in being friends? Half dragon.
All right, I think I'm just gonna go run at him. I'm gonna attack him.
Initiative, everybody.
It's a nat 20.
It's also a net 20 for the dragon, but Helene, so you all will act simultaneously, but good. Okay.
Xander has an 8 because he might be smart, but still the dice not so much.
Hey, you're not used to these legs. You know, you got some serious quads now. Rayonde?
11.
All right. Karrin and Kerrin
That's going to be a 13 for them.
and Aiden.
21.
All right. So Helene, you and the dragon will act simultaneously, but what is Helene going to do?
You see that she just kind of breathes in really deep, kind of goes and walks forward, and she casts Meteor Swarm on this dragon.
As she walks forward very calmly, you all hear like, and in the sky, it is like meteors are coming down out of orbit. Like, I believe that is a save and not an attack roll on Meteor Swarm, correct?
Dex save, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yes, 19.
Hand to God,
And
I
then if you don't
legit,
save, I think
I legit just rolled 2 20s, which I'm better. I'm glad that it was on this save and not on an attack, but that is still half damage. So you can either roll half as many dice or you can roll it all and then cut it in half. You all see these meteors come swarming down, and although this thing looks like it was all lazy and disinterested, as they start coming down through orbit, it wraps its head and tail in, and its wings come down as the meteors just bombard, slamming into it. You all realize that this kind of power would have decimated a normal army. Like if soldiers were in formation and she dropped this on them, like she would have killed people by the dozens with this.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that vision. Another time.
It's exactly like what you saw in that vision. It's wild. It's weird. Who'd have thought? Yeah. Let me get the old hit point tracker out here. Helene, I know
29.
that is a 29. All right. Okay.
And that's already halved.
Perfect. Okay. Just and Rayonde, you hear in Draconic it sort of hissing and cursing. These hairless creatures that come here insult me. No. And it turns and blows its ice breath out in the direction of all of you. Give me constitution saves, everyone.
I got another natural 20. My level up dice, my D20 from my level up dice today is loving me. Thank you, level up dice. Thank you very, very much.
I have advantage on these rolls because I'm currently concentrating on a spell.
Yep. You guys have all kinds of powers now. Yep.
Xander has 24 for this. Yes.
Excellent. 22 is the number you need. Anybody
Look,
that
I'm so fast. I'm agile. I'm moving. I'm bobbing. I'm weaving. But am I a creature of constitution? I say thee nay.
I appreciate it's like you all are like moving through here and suddenly you just see like an Aiden sickle appear.
Same with the
Severe.
twins, and I'm afraid you don't even get the chance to swing that magic weapon because I only rolled a 15.
You lost the
On the
concentration.
concentration check or the con
On
save?
the con save, I got a 15. I haven't rolled my concentration yet.
Yeah, you get
Okay.
concentration is a separate thing. Those of you that don't make the save take 72 points of cold damage, not accounting for any sort of mitigation. Those of you that do make the save is 36. It's still going to be half for Helene because I still gave the dragon half, even though it got a 20 save on your meteor swarm. Because I didn't want your very first level 9 spell to be like meh.
On the concentration, it's a dirty 20. So
I'll give it to you. I'll say you maintain it.
yay.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go over here and take my 72 points of damage. Was it that you said?
72. But Aiden, it is your turn. As you very much are like, oh, I'm gonna stab it in the squeedly spoot. Ow! Hey.
But I get just the edge of it as I uncannily dodge out of the way. Thank goodness. And I roll. Given that I disappeared pre-combat, are we saying that I can
it doesn't
attack?
really see you. Yeah, it doesn't. The frost breath doesn't actually break your concentration. It's like this like invisible man there for a second with Aiden.
Look, am I a creature of constitution? No, but is getting hit with a gargantuan dragon's ice breath enough to stop me from hiding? I think not. So I work around up toward the flank and introduce my short sword to the dragon's hamstring. I think they'll be great friends.
Yep, roll it. And after Aiden, it is the twins.
That's 24 to hit.
That is enough.
Rogues.
Good lord, like 5 of those were 6s.
Well, I'm sure you're going to hit substantially. Just give me the number when you got it. Was Karrin and Kerrin?
So I think that is not fun and super painful for them, and they don't like it. But they figure if they've taken that amount of damage, probably everybody else has too. So they're going to do a quick healing word for everyone.
Okay.
We're going to cast that at level 5.
Healing word is a bonus action. So although you could cast a cantrip or do something else after, or another action afterwards.
Right. So that's going to be 18 for everybody.
All right. Everybody gets 18 back.
Cleric.
You're welcome. And then I think they are going to then take their short sword and their mace and attempt a melee on this dragon.
They're gonna melee. All right, roll it.
Always a good idea. So let me go ahead and roll the short sword first.
As they roll, that's a 51 cool points of damage from Aiden, who
51.
thereafter yanks the sword back out and kick flips with fancy footwork, might I say, and rolls into some tall grass for a 27 to hide.
Yeah.
You all
and Karrin, display exactly why they don't actually fight with weapons when not only does one of them miss, but the other critically fails. So
Aiden, you stab into this thing, and to the rest of you, it's just like a font of blood just erupts out of its side for no reason, just kind of like where its rear leg sort of connects to its body. And as you all come in, Karrin runs up and just cracks the dragon, and feels just how hard its scales are when they bash into it. And Kerrin sees Aiden appear there for a second, is like, Aiden! In blood. All over the douses them.
Kerrin? Carrie.
It is Rayonde's turn, and then it'll be Xander's.
Okay, so Rayonde just moves with incredible speed. My base walking speed now is 55. So I'm just sort of zigzagging towards it, trying to kind of draw attention. And then right when I get to one of the deepest, kind of cuts as I'm going back and forth, I just turn sideways and do a cartwheel through the air over its head and draw my sword using sharpen the blade as a bonus action. And then I take I take both of my attacks on it from the air, just coming death from above kind of stuff. I roll both of those. Did you say 21 was the armor class?
I didn't say. It's actually 20. And yes, you can go ahead and roll as well, Xander, just so we'll have it. 20 is the number you need to beat.
So I rolled my 2 attacks, and one of them wasn't high enough, so I re-rolled it with unerring accuracy. So I've got 2 hits on that. So let me just get the damage for those.
Rayonde, it's like as you're swinging now, it is almost like it is in slow motion, even for you, where you're like, oh no, turn into it. Yeah.
29 plus 14 is how much? In my head here.
Well, I got it. It's 29 and 14 and anything else?
Nope, that's it.
You find your sword just like dances in between the scales on its neck, and it just like turns and looks at you just with hatred in its eyes, Rayonde, and it attempts to bite you, missing wildly as it attempts to like basically turn back, but like the injuries are you miserable mortal, how dare you raise a hand against me?
That's what happens when you bring a dragon to a dragon fight.
Xander, you see your friend is on its back like gak gak, and it's snapping at him, and you all can hear the draconic. Any of you that speak it know what it's saying. The rest of you know it's saying something and very angry as it is now bleeding out of massive wounds in its neck inside and burns from being collided with meteors.
I would like to attack the wounds in its neck because that seems like a fun place. And I want to do action surge as well, so I'm just going like, yeah, do one of those. It's more epic there, let me tell you. But so I get charged up, raged up, run over there. I do an action surge. I rolled 6 times, only 4 of them made it, which is 51.
Did you add +3 to all of them?
Let me check real quick. What that means 1 more makes it.
Okay. Hey. So how many land come total?
5.
It's
you all make sure you add +3 to every single one of those damages as well.
So that's an extra 15 off the top because each hit gets a +3 to it. You all just see your friend just erupt in a blur of violence, hacking away at this dragon.
+12. You said
That's hot.
78 damage. Yes. I like to hit things with the sword of greatness.
78 points of damage.
Yes.
All right. 78. You guys see, like, immediately, you have massively, catastrophically damaged this thing. Like, it just went from like, ooh, mortals are stupid anyway. It like bleeding and like grievously injured. And it turns it's like tries to snap at Rayonde and can't get to him, and turns and looks at you, Helene, and says, "Come, wizard, do your worst." And you see it rear back like it's about to bite you, Helene.
Is it my turn again, or is this a reaction?
Yep. No, this is top of the round because you and it act simultaneously. We're back to the top.
Do it. Do your worst. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
As it opens its mouth, I'm gonna hit it with disintegrate right in the back of its ugly throat.
Perfect. All right, hold on a second here.
In fact,
Just check something here.
Arcane spells are nasty, y'all. Like they're
No,
real
don't
nasty.
they're
mess
terrible.
with a high level wizard.
So that is not an attack roll. That is a save. Let me look and see. It just so happens I have the Helene sheet open because you're my Rosetta Stone that I use to read all the skills and everything. All right. It needs to beat a Dex 19. It does not. Roll your damage there. Helene. Oh, jeez. What level are you gonna cast it at?
I'm gonna cast it at level 8, and for some reason my my screen, my web browser is being stupid and won't let me scroll. I have the pinwheel of death. Could you tell me what I'm supposed to roll real quick since you have
Yes.
it open?
At
All my
8
technology hates me today for some reason. Mercury
At-
must be in Gatorade again.
at 8d6, you are going to roll 16d6 plus 40.
Good.
Because of course you are. Because that makes sense. Because that is power
Only the
that should
bone
be wielded
16
by
today,
mortals.
but here we go.
That's true.
Damn,
You know,
it
all
feels
that
good
means
to be
is
a
it's
war
time-
mage.
It's time to buy more dice. Like I'm helping you rationalize the acquisition of more dice. That's it.
I love also how immediate this power surge just came
Oh, yeah.
from like, barely doing any damage to almost chopping someone's neck.
Yeah.
Like, "Alright, sick. I like this. I like where this is going.
Yeah. No, you
That's
guys
tier,
are like,
baby. That's tier.
Karen is having a very difficult time making Karrin concentrate during this fight. I'm just saying.
no, my favorite part about all of this is like, again, this is legit happened in roughly 9 seconds. So it really has been like Rayonde being like, hey, can we talk? And it being like, no, death.
Okay, so I only rolled to save time. I only rolled 8 dice, and that came out to 35, which times 2
So
is
70 plus 40.
110.
Oh, okay, perfect. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. So you guys see this thing turns like, and a beam of just like concentrated energy comes out of Helene that blows her hair and cloak back and punches clean through its head and out the back of it. And it slumps forward and hits the ground in a shower of ashes.
I do a 3-point landing in the ashes.
And you hear, well, I don't know if you all were holding back before, but this certainly complicates things. And Nebula's face appears in the energy. I suppose this means you all won't be taking us up on our offer?
Karrin walks up with the sending scroll and hands it over to Nebula and says, "You can get bent."
I laugh so hard I almost break stealth.
Almost.
Yeah. In the grass, it just bristles slightly. And she looks down at all of you and says, well, then, come, meet our Lord Kershimus in the burning icy fortress, and we shall see what you mortals are made of. And it dissipates. And that is a good place for us to stop. So thank you all for joining us for our newly empowered heroes. I think we are right at our time, so I'm going to have to skip the sign off, but you know where we are and where to find us, and join us again next week here at 5 for episode 9 of 10 of season 2 of Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish. We'll see you soon.